Welcome to Real Talk Christian Podcast, where we drink coffee, water, and have real conversations about faith, culture, and society. I'm Chris Fuller.
And I'm Mark Hyde.
And on today's episode, we're doing Topic Roulette.
Hey!
We don't know what's on the card, who wrote the card, or why we're even doing this. But we are. Mark, are you ready to do this?
Roll the dice, baby. Let's go.
Let's go. Mark, how's it going, buddy?
That was a solid opening, my dude.
Yeah, it's all off the cusp, you know? Who cares?
Well, we literally don't know what we're doing.
I have no idea, so I didn't even know what to say. It was just like, well, this is what is. And I said I didn't know who wrote it, but I kind of do know who wrote it. I think
you need to go back an episode and listen to the Sin episode. Because
I actually do know who wrote it because, we kind of gave a preview a couple weeks back.
We did on Instagram and Facebook.
Janeal wrote us a random topic.
Which, in case you are new, Janeal is
my wife.
Fuller's wife.
So it is completely sealed with a smiley face. The light is just it's
blinding.
It's horrible.
I'm pretty sure it's the same light that Paul saw on his road to Damascus.
Probably. But it says RTC confidential because we don't know. So we're gonna get into that here in just a sec. Have no idea.
I'm scared, bro.
This is like the first time we've really come unprepared
completely
to a podcast. We are going into
the RTC Ask Anything. We at least
knew the
list,
questions, yeah.
So we didn't prep them. We just saw the list when we walked in.
Right, but we kind of had an idea from seeing the list of okay, I could go here, I could go there, even though we didn't prepare for it.
Right,
we were kind of prepared mentally. This one we have no idea. And then Janeal teases me and goes,
"Oh, she's mean. Oh, Janeal, you are so mean."
Well, either you're going to both agree on this, and this podcast is going to last like 15 minutes. You guys will have to stretch it to 30, or it's going to be a long podcast. I'm like, what?
But bro, when have we ever had a short podcast?
Never.
But let's be honest,
but maybe today is the day.
Well, we're the show where you grab your morning cup of Joe and you're like, let's just hang with Mark and Fuller for the day.
Let's just hang out and hear their thoughts.
Have a good time. We don't have any sponsors, so you don't have to hear about sponsors yet.
Well,
we don't have any
we're
podcast
our own
reviews
sponsors,
to read.
so you have
We are our own sponsors. Actually, we're selling stuff out of our own house to buy new stuff. I actually didn't tell you this, dude. A buddy of mine, he actually texted me. He's like, he invited me over for dinner, and the kids were hanging out, and it was play day. It was awesome. I haven't seen this guy in a while. And he was like, bro, you guys doing okay? I'm like, yeah, why? He goes, dude, you're selling your whole house. I'm like, we're financially okay. I'm not trying to sell things to pay the mortgage. I'm selling stuff to buy more podcast stuff.
Right, because, we try to produce the best quality show we can.
We gave away a mask. We gave away the Mega Swag Bag. Yeah. We're constantly upping we're trying to up our camera game.
Always.
And our tech, the
mics,
whole rig.
Although the mics are the only thing we've really stuck with the entire time.
And these things they make us sound good. Okay, actually, let's be the Roadcaster.
The Roadcaster,
that's our little the Roadcasters are little sound effect guys. So when we're just chilling, we're hanging out. I can instantly just go, and it's a good time.
Hey, maybe you should keep those up because we don't know what we're going to get into tonight, just in case we need them. So, but yeah. That's kind of creepy.
I feel like it sounds like a squeaky wheel. I'm gonna stop it. It doesn't sound like a cricket chirping. It sounds like a.
Yeah, it sounds like some creepy Oh, that's nice. Anyways,
hey, wow. How you doing?
So we really don't have
Joey.
Are you still drinking coffee? I'm drinking water.
I'm drinking my coffee still, bro. I'm still drinking the
Dancing Crane.
The Dancing Crane. One of the. Joel, correct us if we're wrong. I think this is one of your favorites. But what are you drinking?
I'm drinking pure aqua spring water. So
from Aldi's?
Yes.
We found out a month, 2 months ago that you do not like my water here.
No, well,
you don't like South Bend City water.
I've known since I was a child that I didn't like South Bend City water because it's chlorinated, heavily chlorinated.
Yeah, you can smell
it's like Flint water.
It's
mixed
not
with
Flint water.
Mixed with pool water.
Don't call it Flint water.
But anyway, so we have no reviews.
No, we got no reviews.
So should we just dive into this thing? I'm a little concerned.
I wish I had a drum roll, but I'm a little nervous,
all right,
bro.
Let's open it up. And if it's something we don't like, we'll just throw it and we'll just keep talking.
We have no idea what the question is. And I think we gave Janeal one rule. about what she could.
No eschatology.
No end times talk.
Yeah.
Because we're saving that for later.
Well,
so that was her
and
only rule.
That's
like we had to be prepped for that. That was a really kind of sad throw because the card went.
Hey, look, it says notes.
Ooh. Okay.
All right,
so
you ready?
what's our question? I'm actually kind of scared.
It's a paragraph.
Janeal, what are?
Okay.
Oh, brother. Okay, here we go.
I feel like we just talked about this, but we're going to get back into it. Part 2. All right, here we go. In today's culture, the phrases believe in yourself, dream big, love yourself, etc. are used often, especially with kids.
Yep.
Are these phrases teaching our children bad ways of thinking? And if so, how do we keep ourselves and our kids from buying into the self-love delusion?
I'm ready for this conversation.
Let's go. All right.
Okay. Oh, I think I just hurt someone's ears.
Sorry.
My bad, Brandon. If you're listening, I probably blew your eardrums out.
Sorry.
But okay, so
I don't know why I crumbled it up.
all of these things about the whole. So we're talking about the idea of telling kids just believe in yourself, dream for the stars, shoot your shot, and do your thing. First off,
what did she call it? She called it the self-love delusion.
Self-love, dude. That would be that's a baller topic idea.
We should have. Yeah. Why did you give us this one? This would have been a good one to prep for.
You know, you could have told this on Instagram and Facebook and won a mask, Janeal. But I guess you won the big guy. So you're the real winner, Janeal.
All right. So let's dive into it. Mark, I'm going to let you go first.
Okay. So I am the person.
You're excited.
As a athlete, I did not want to keep my participation trophies because I didn't earn them. That was me as a kid. But, you know, it's one of those things where, like, I tell Elliot a lot of different things, and we have conversations. But I think one of the big twofold. One side is the fact of, yes, as a created image bearer of God, you know, we have value and worth and dignity that can only be found in Jesus and found in God, knowing that he created us to do this. But I also... like, I tell Elliot, like, I don't know. I feel like when we were growing up as kids, I've talked with a friend about this recently. When we were growing up as kids, we were always told, you can be whoever you want to be. You can do whatever. And
if you want to be an astronaut, you can
do it. You got to be smart.
Put your mind to it, and you can do it.
But this is really funny. So one of the books I'm reading, it's called How's Your Soul by Judah Smith. I'm still slowly going through it. And he wrote in there that when he was a little kid in like kindergarten or first grade or something like that, they were writing down, okay, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he says he remembers this vividly. The teacher going around and it's like, oh, Susie, you can run for president because you're so smart and you're gifted. Oh, Billy, you can go and be a lawyer because you have great people skills and conversation. And he's sitting there going, oh, what am I going to be? And she looked at him and she's like,
you can be a good garbage man.
basically, because the kid's, I mean, he's like, I was 6 and you telling me I'm suck at school, like whatever. But, you know, I think we tell kids, you know, you can have dreams, you can have aspirations, you can go and you can do all of these things. But so many times we forget to tell the kids that doing something isn't as important as being something. Like we always tell kids,
expound on that.
Yeah, so we always tell kids, you know, shoot for the stars. I mean, shoot your shot. That's more about relationships. That's a little different. But you know, you can be whoever you want. You want to be president. You want to be an astronaut. You want to be an astrophysicist. You want to rule the world.
Dream big. Love
dream
yourself.
big and go big. And you are. I mean, you just love yourself, forgive yourself, treat yourself, and you're gonna be all right.
You be you.
You do you, boo. That's what it is. But you know, so many times we tell kids all these different things, and you know, we can create these false aspirations and false realities in kids' minds of, Elliot, you can be, for my son, I'm like, buddy, you could be president. Well, what happens if he can't amount to that? Does that mean he's worthless? Because I told him you had to go do something.
Especially because kids look up to their parents most
exactly.
of the time.
Rather than, like, I would rather have my kid not go and do something in terms of be a lawyer, be the president, be an astronaut, but I'd rather have him be someone who's like, he loves people big. He's kind, he's compassionate, he's forgiving. I'd rather him be a good person on the inside because of God's love for him rather than going and doing all these big things, because life isn't a destination. Life's a journey, bro. Like for me, if I would look at it and go, you know what, because as a kid, I would say about a teenager when I said, you know what, I want to follow God in whatever way he leads. And I think he's leading me into church work. And, you know, by the age of, 24, I think I was 24, 25 when I think I was 24.
Bro, that wasn't that long ago.
Well, but this is what I mean. But like, I already had a master's degree. I was ordained. I was one of the youngest ordained pastors in in the denomination, like Southern Baptist Convention. I was young.
Right.
I was a full-time pastor at a church in the city that I grew up in. I mean, I grew up a mile and a half from the church. I'm doing student ministry. I'm running media programs. I'm loving people. I'm like, if you would have looked at it, I would have been like, I made it.
Right.
And so many people, when they get to
By
that
24.
like by the age of 24, like, dang. Like, I mean, now I'm 29. I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, life's a lot more complicated than I thought it was back in the day. Like, geez. But it's more the fact of if we just get to a certain point and all of a sudden it's like, I have nothing else to live for because I reached my goal. But what should be our goal? And is our goal to be something, or is it rather to be someone? And the person I want to be, and I want my kids to be, is I want you to love God, and I want you to just have big love to people. I don't want you to waste your life. I want you to do something, and I don't even want to say do something big for God, but I want them to be faithful to God, and I want Elliot to be not a crapshoot dad. I want him to be an awesome dad, and I want him to love his kids, and I want Evie to be a great wife. But if they don't get married, that doesn't mean they're a terrible person either, because if their goal is to just get married.
You just want them to be happy. Like,
not happy.
Happy to the point where they're serving God and that they're good to their spouses and that things are going good.
And so I think we create a false narrative in other kids' head where if we tell kids just believe in yourself and just love yourself in this, I think we're telling kids that you are the most important person on the planet. So just take care of yourself and everyone else can figure out their crap later. When in reality, yeah, you do need to fill up your own cup and you do need to care for your own soul. But at the same time, we're called to love others. We're called to humble ourselves, pick up our cross, follow Jesus. And I mean, this is I think a conversation would be an interesting one, is what point do we have to take care of ourselves versus what point are we always serving others? Because we're called to serve others with our lives too. Serve God in that.
That's a whole different topic.
That's a different topic.
And
but I don't know.
And we would be probably on opposite sides on that one. But we're not on opposite sides on this one.
No, go. But what do you think on this one, bro?
We actually, sorry, Janeal, to disappoint you.
Why would you think?
But we pretty much agree on this one that.
Is it because I'm a typical millennial, like Gen Z type person, where I
maybe she thought that you were going to be like, yeah, man, participation awards, but no,
I didn't keep those. Those were stupid.
Well, yeah.
So, in my opinion, because
you put a pretty strong emphasis on.
I feel like I did a lot of tweetable phrases on that one.
It's all right. You did a strong emphasis on the second commandment, the second greatest Messiah commandment.
Okay. Yep.
Law of the Messiah, loving others, and that's great. I'm not discrediting that, downplaying that. All that's fantastic.
There's a but. I'm sensing a but.
No, my parenting style is very similar but a little different. We agree, but I focus more on the first commandment side of things. You're pretty second commandment focused. I'm very first commandment focused, where you can't do anything until you love God. You can't even fill yourself until you love God and God loves you. And then out of that overflow of God's love, you learn to love him. And out of that overflow, you learn to love others. But you cannot do anything without that relationship with God first. And so to me, what I would want, if I had to pick for my kids, what I would want, right? If I had to put anything on them, and I do this already, every night I pray for my kids that Jesus gets a hold of their heart and draws them into him, to the love for him. That's what I pray with them every single night. And that's the only stipulation I want for them. Like, you can do whatever. You want to be a housewife to my girls, or, you want
to go be Madam Secretary.
You want to
get it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. I'm going to love you no matter what. But I am praying for your soul, because I don't care about this life. I care about the life to come. And that's what matters to me for my kids. And so, you got to learn about failures. You got to learn about successes. That stuff is just natural. This is a natural part of the world. This world is crummy, so things don't always go our way, and you got to learn to be okay with that. That's all right. It's called dying to self. Most of the time we're hurt because it hurts us, hurts our pride, hurts our feelings, hurts our, and we're supposed to be dying to self anyway. So
right, yep.
I don't care about that. I don't care about that. What I care about are my kids loving God. And I want to continue to push them to loving God, not loving themselves, not living a dream big fantasy. Oh, you can be whatever. All I want. And
what was that?
Yeah, that was my.
What was that?
That was my Gen Z typical
They're not that
dream big.
bad.
I know, but it's just it's like my fundy voice comes down here like this.
Preacher voice.
That's my fundy voice.
Hey, man.
I got different voices for what I do. But yeah, so to me, all that matters to my kids and all I would tell my kids is love Jesus.
Okay.
Love Jesus.
So let me have a follow-up question then for you, because we could end it right there at the 15-minute mark, but we're not going to.
What did she say? Either 15 minutes or we'd have to drag it out if we agree.
I'm dragging this out.
She was right.
She was right. 15-minute mark. There you go. So, okay, so we see the love yourself, dream big, you do you, all these different types of phrases. Do people ask themselves and want to do that so much because you think they're focused on this life and not the life to come? And if so, what are things that, because a lot of times, and I don't want to stereotype, because I think this I think is more of a juvenile thing in terms of we tell our kids this as parents because we want our kids to dream big, and like I don't want them to dream small. Like I'm talking about just a normal.
You're talking about if you take the God factor out of it.
Yeah.
You don't want them to sell themselves short.
You don't want your kid to sell themselves short. But this is also something that you hear from the Christian women Instagrammer world too. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, and God loves you, and so just love yourself.
Well, that is unbiblical.
Right. So what I'm saying, and that's what I'm going towards. And I don't want to say dudes don't struggle with this too, because sometimes dudes just need to get their head out of their butts and do and get back on track too. But what I'm trying to say is the fact of, do we think this about ourselves and tell our kids this because we're more focused on physical, tangible things here in this world and not focus on the world to come?
So that's kind of a trick question.
It is a trick question.
I know, because I could see in your eyes what you're already thinking. No, not really. But
can you see when I do the squint, when I do the one eye squint?
It's kind of a trick question though, because you can't be so kingdom next life focused that you totally miss and seclude yourself from the world.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
But you can't be so worldly focused that you seclude God.
So what are we supposed to do with that? I don't know. Come back next week and find out. No, I'm just kidding.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Take it easy.
but for real though, like you don't want to be so. I like that though. We can't be so next kingdom that we forget that we're living in a place that God sent us.
We are ambassadors.
Right. We're sent into this world.
Heck yeah, we are.
And but we can't, like, I was watching. I listen to Madam Secretary when I work because I know the show so well, or I listen to NCIS or whatever. But there was one where the guy was an ambassador to Myanmar, and they called it something where he was supposed to be an ambassador representing America, but he fell so in love with the culture that he actually failed in his responsibilities,
right? Because
he forgot who he was and who he was representing. So he looked like Myanmar. Not saying,
and that
the only difference is we're not saying Myanmar's bad and America's good.
No. What we're saying,
that picture, that picture. You know what I mean?
It's a type and shadow of, you're speaking of Christianity.
Yeah, there you go.
Type and shadow,
and
that is, I would put a pretty high percentage of American Christians. Put a pretty high percentage. I'm not going to say a percentage. I'm just going to say that I believe a lot of Christians are so worldly and have forgotten about the kingdom. They are church-going Christians. They're Sunday service servants.
What's that old
I like that. Sunday service servants. Triple S.
Who get served, who want to be served. It's kind of like what Pastor Scott said, where it's, what's that old thing that, it's like a Southern thing where it's like...
The old-time religion?
Well... Excuse me, I got the coffee burps. But,
yeah, me too. That's why I'm drinking water now.
But no, that's the being... It's about the car in the garage joke, where it's like a person is not a person walking into a building isn't a Christian in the same way that a person walking into a garage isn't a car or something like that. I don't remember. I mean, the bro's a Southerner, so
that makes sense though.
But the dude's it's the fact of, and this is also an argument people use where it's like, well, the church is full of hypocrites and I don't want to go there. Well, obviously we are, because we're all fallen, broken people who need Jesus, or there actually are legitimate hypocrites.
But not only that, we have so many quote unquote Christians that are in the church that really do not follow Christ. They follow the idol of Christ. Ooh, right? So
bro, we dropping some heat.
What do I mean by that?
Yeah.
They follow a false Messiah, a false Jesus, a Jesus that they have made up in their own mind, but not the Jesus of the Bible. That's what they follow.
And Fuller, how did they find out about the Jesus of the Bible?
They read the scriptures. They lean on their brothers and sisters, and I call it lean and glean.
Lean on me.
Got to lean and glean. You know what glean means?
I know the word.
Take
in.
Take in, right. So I lean on my brother and I glean. I take in. So,
and you can learn more about that in, what was that, like the 2 episodes ago about studying the Bible?
Yeah.
Episode...
Wasn't it 59? 59. Episode 59. This is 62, so 59, yeah. 3 episodes ago. Yes?
60.
Was it 60?
60, episode 60.
I thought it was 59. No? Okay, nope. 60.
I think
Anyways,
60. Anywho.
59 was tattoo. No, 59 was tattoos was like 56.
Let me get the list, brah.
He said, brah, we got a list. Anyways, yes, too many Christians in the church.
Tattoos was 56.
Too many Christians in the church are the coffee mug Christians.
Yep.
Which, hey, if I read my coffee mug, the scripture on my coffee mug, that's good enough for me. Like,
if God is in her, she cannot fall. That's not talking about a person. That's talking about a city called Jerusalem.
I'm going to stay home on Sunday and not go to church. First of all, you don't like church.
That doesn't make you
church. Church is a secondary thing, first of all. But I'm not going to go to the secondary thing. I'm not already doing the primary thing, which is studying on my own and seeking God. But I'm now not going to go to the secondary thing because it's NFL season, and so Sunday football.
That preacher better end his sermon early because kickoff's at noon.
I'm twitching over here. But no, it's the coffee cup Christianity that has infected the Western culture.
I'm going to do what I classic do, and I'm going to ask you another question because I just like to ask you questions. This is what I do. So let's say there's someone who's listening, and they're like, all right, guys, so...
Sorry.
Did you just chuck a water bottle?
I did. It was empty.
Okay, so...
But wait, there's more!
We've had a lot of coffee already tonight, and it's getting late.
I've had 3 cups, and it's like we started drinking at 7 o'clock.
Cheers. Okay, so let's say that there's someone listening. I got my avatars in my head again, and they're saying like, all right, guys, I hear you guys. So I've always believed that just love yourself and do this. What should I think instead? And what truth do I need to speak into my life to replace that thought process of just love yourself?
So I'm going to back up. This is why I wish we would have known about this topic, because there are so many scriptures that talk about how those who love the world this is
I'm not talking about love the world. I'm talking about loving yourself.
Right. Okay, so I'm getting into that. So those who love the world don't follow God. And to be a lover of self, how can you... If you're a lover of self, you're loving what's in the world. The world generality. You're loving this kingdom, if we want to put it a kingdom perspective on it.
Right.
So you're loving this kingdom. You're loving yourself. You're loving the things that this kingdom has to offer you. Self-focused, self-minded. Where in the Bible does it say to do that? What scripture can anybody point out that says you are to take care of yourself in such a way that you're focused on yourself? Because the only scriptures I see is, one, to die, to pick up your cross and follow Christ, to die to yourself.
Right.
I see love God. That's
love
what I
others.
see. And then I see love others. Those are in which all the commandments are wrapped up in those two.
Right.
But where does it say love self? Actually, it says the opposite, that those who are lovers of self are lovers of wicked things. Mm-hmm. This is what Proverbs says. So I don't understand the Christians that are so self-focused and self-minded. And I'm sorry if this rubs people the wrong way, but I'm not sorry. Sorry, but not sorry.
It's too late to apologize.
But those who are so self-focused that they forget that it's not about self. We're called to die to self daily. Die to self daily.
The only time I see where we're supposed to focus on ourselves.
Yes, here's the disagreement, Janeal. We got it right here.
Not the disagreement, but the only time I see is the fact of put on Christ and to put off the lust of the flesh and to fill yourself with. But that's not a self-focused thing.
Not at all.
That's more of a putting on godliness and walking in that reality.
What is the symbol? You know? What is the symbol of baptism?
Water immersion.
Yeah. What's the symbol? What does it symbolize?
Being buried in the likeness of Christ's death and being raised to newness of life.
So if you're dead and you're raised newness of life in Christ, Christ isn't in us, we're in Christ, right?
Right.
So if that's the case, the dead man is dead. Why keep reviving them? Why keep bringing them back and taking the new self, the new creation out of Christ and putting it back in the dead body?
That's stupid.
Right?
He turned graves into gardens. That's what God does.
I like that.
I like that.
Now that's a tweetable thing.
Well, that's Elevation song.
Oh, is it?
That's really
never
good.
mind. I don't like it. No, I'm just kidding.
It's Elliot's favorite song right now.
But yeah, so we're called to put off the old man and put on the new.
Right.
And it's funny.
And you see Apostle Paul say, put off the lust of your flesh.
Right.
That's the only time was when it focused on stuff is put off the lust of the flesh and
Yeah,
put
it's
on
basically
godliness.
okay. So that's basically saying die to self. Okay, that's
Right.
self-focus. You got to do die to self. So the things you want, don't want. You shouldn't want those things.
Right. Now, I do think you need
That's
to learn how to take care, like as a parent and as a friend and as a leader, they talk about the time where the fact of, can you pour out unless you're being poured into by God?
Who does the
himself?
pouring?
Well, Paul says he was poured out as a vessel. So we get poured out.
He was poured out.
Right.
Not poured in.
Well, no, but he had to be poured in from God to pour God out
God
to
pours
others.
into you,
Right.
but it's never you focusing on you. You focus on God, in which
Right.
God pours into you. It's your focus on God.
So
It's
I
still
think
not self-focused.
This is the question of how do we deal with self-care and making sure I'm in a place where I can love my kids. You know what I mean?
Self-care is not biblical. It's not. It is not biblical. You cannot find anywhere where it talks about self-care. It talks about focusing on God and focusing on others. It's never in. It's always up or out.
Mm-hmm.
Up or out. When you're focusing up, the inward stuff just happens. When you're focusing out, the inward stuff still happens because you should still be focusing up. It's hitting both those things all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Constantly firing on those.
So is there ever a time for rest? And
I
don't want to talk to people tonight because
there's a Sabbath.
Chill
There's a Sabbath. Even God had a Sabbath, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is a Sabbath, though?
it's a rest to recover and recuperate.
What are you supposed to do on a Sabbath? What does it mean to keep a Sabbath holy?
It's different from everything else.
What did God mean?
Separate.
Okay, separate, right? Set apart, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are you setting apart for? Is it for just physical rest?
I think that comes along with it because Jesus even took a nap.
I agree. I agree that that's part of it, but that's a very small, minute part of it because God is not a human who gets tired. So why did he rest? Rest
Give us
is
an
a sign of
example.
completion, right?
Right.
The seventh day is seven is a sign in the Bible of completion.
Right.
The Sabbath wasn't created because God needed to take a nap. Okay.
No.
It was created for us, but why?
I mean, yeah, because the Sabbath was created for man, not man for the Sabbath, so that way
Right.
we can rest.
Rest in.
Rest in, technically God.
So we should set apart the day to rest in God, right?
Right.
So what does that look like?
This is, I think, when it comes into the one day is holy versus all days holy conversation.
So
But
there is a holy day, and it is the Sabbath, and even the disciples and the apostles celebrated a Sabbath.
mm-hmm.
So we're still talking about a holy day, which in the Old Testament talks about shall go on for eternity, shall
Right.
be eternal.
I mean,
So we know that
Sabbath
a
is
Sabbath
day.
is-
I've heard it say that Sabbath is a way for us to rest and to glory in what, not us glory, but us to sit in the glory that God has for us.
We are to glorify God.
right. So and enjoy God and enjoy the gifts of God, which is family and relationships and Him.
It should be a time to focus on God and others still.
But shouldn't that be every day, not just one day?
It should be. But it is a set apart day to only focus on God.
But I think it's also a day because
And others.
even if you look at the old Shabbat, it was a day just to rest from work. Because
it
6
was.
days do you work, and then the seventh day you don't work.
Right. And it was
There was a time
it
of
was a
worship
physical
involved.
rest, but like I said, that's a very small, minute part
Right.
of it. That wasn't the main focus
Right.
of it because
But-
if you're saying that that's the focus, that whole thing was derived from on the seventh day God rested, which
Right.
God is
I'm gonna
not
put
a human.
spin on you though.
All right, go ahead.
because we're supposed to be good stewards of what we've been given, right?
Yep.
Or we are stewards of our body that were given to us.
Are we?
Yeah,
Why?
because God entrusted it to us.
Um,
Like we're supposed to be stewards of all that God has given to us, including ourselves, which means ample sleep, ample food, like making sure you rest and sleep, making sure you eat proper food, because the Bible talks about gluttony and all these different things.
that's Old Testament, yeah. Okay. I'm tracking with you.
Right. I was like, yeah. So it's like we're supposed to, we need to sleep because our bodies require sleep. Our
Right.
bodies require water.
Right.
Our bodies require food. Our bodies require relationships and all these different things. But then I hear the pushback from other people where it's like, in order to be a good husband, in order to be a good mom, in order to be a good friend, sometimes you just need to take a step out, be able to take a step back in, and to have what that rest looks like.
Let's separate things here a little bit.
Okay.
Let's look at the life of Jesus. Okay. Yes, there was physical limits where he actually had to sleep.
Well, he got away from people.
But when he got away from people, what was he doing?
He prayed.
He was seeking the Father. He was not filling up himself. He was not just taking a break for himself.
But
I
just
wanted him some me time. It was always separating to pray to the Father. It's even
isn't that me time?
It's even talked about. It's not just me time. It's God time.
Mm-hmm.
It's focusing on God. It's that first commandment.
But I think you're neglecting how our bodies were created.
No,
too.
I'm not neglecting.
Because in order for me to pour out, I need to make sure, as a leader and as a pastor, if I was pouring out to people all day long and my family, I would break.
I think the past 100 years, has changed Western Christianity's mindset.
Okay.
Because if you look previous to 100 years ago, this was not the thought process. This is a new teaching that we have to be self-focused.
Are people... So here might be a question, because I think as a pastor and the pastors, pastors deal with burnout all the time. I've dealt with burnout.
That's why you lean on your brothers.
Scott has dealt with burnout.
That's why you lean on your brothers.
And that's why pastors are given Sabbath periods where they get to just rest, and I know some pastors,
that's a new church thing, yeah.
Well, they get to rest and
because you don't see any of the apostles taking the rest.
Pause. But pause. But at the same time, though, it's like if we understand how our body works, like our body's for food and food's for the body, if we understand how our bodies and our minds actually work and understand that we have mental health and we have physical health and we have emotional, spiritual, soulful health, we're called to rest and enjoy God's creation too. We're called, that was the first gift that God ever gave humans was the food in the garden and the garden itself.
To what?
To the humans.
I understand to humans, but why?
For us to enjoy it.
To glorify God. To glorify God in these things. To look at these things and say, what a beautiful creation. God, holy God, you are mighty God. This is all God thing.
And so we agree with that.
This is loving God
We
thing.
agree with that.
Where does it say, well, I do this because I love this food?
I mean, it doesn't say that. But
so where are you gleaning this from?
But what I'm
self-focused
and I'm not saying to
directive.
be self-focused. I'm just saying that.
Well, you're saying mental health, this health like this. Where does that come from? That comes from psychology, right?
Well,
that comes from worldly psychology, which Christians have taken on, right?
But all truth is God's truth. So if we understand this is how the body works.
But is it all truth? That's my question. Is it all truth?
Well, then why do we have suicides and why do we have
Why?
this?
Because we have sin.
Right.
It's a sin issue.
Right.
It's not a God truth thing like that.
And
it's
so
a sin
I'm not
issue.
saying
There's a sin problem here.
Right. So I'm not saying love yourself in a way where it's all self-focused. What I'm trying to say, though, is the fact of you got to understand your body and your ticks and your rhythm, because I can look at it and be, as a pastor, sorry, wife and kids, I'm going to go deal with my people all day long.
But how are you serving your wife and your children? Then?
Exactly. So, but I have to serve
that's
them
not you.
as well.
That's not serving you.
But if I take what you're saying to the extreme, that means I will sleep 3 hours a night.
No.
And that's not wise.
No, you have to be able to rest. You have to be able to give the body what it needs to function.
Right.
That's not self-focused. That's doing it to function.
And so, and that's all I'm trying to say is you're trying to do it.
Right.
So
but
you disagreed with me.
You're talking about mental health.
Right.
Mental health typically means, well, I got to have some me time. And me time is I get to do whatever I want and think about whatever I want and do it. And that's not what we're called to do. That's what we do as fallen, sinful human creatures, but that is not what we're called to do. Too many Christians are running to the world to seek help for mental problems for a sin issue, right? It's a sin issue.
What's the sin issue?
What's a sin issue? Mental health issues can be a sin issue. If it were not for sin, there would be no mental health issues.
100%.
And I don't think anybody that's a Christian would disagree with that. If sin was not present, there would be no medical issues, no mental health issues, no overweight issues.
And that's what God says in the new kingdom, or the new heaven and new earth.
Right, that stuff won't be there.
He'll wipe away every tear. We'll have no more pain, suffering, sorrow.
Right.
All these
so
different things.
Why are we focused so much on self?
I mean, I know why. Part of it is because of the fact of, as Americans, we are very me focused.
Right. And do you think that carries over into the church?
Oh, for sure it does.
It definitely
American
does.
Christianity definitely does. And that's why, I see different people where it's like they have sacrificed themselves to do, like I think of Joe Frericks, who's going down to Peru, and Kimberly, who's given up everything to go. We've talked with other people who on our podcast who have sacrificed a lot of things to worship God. Tibbs was one with his music. He travels all the time.
Paul Lindgren's another
Paul
one
Lindgren's
with his
another
medical
one.
field.
Oh my goodness, dude! Like you see this dude like crush it as a nurse with this COVID season. I mean, the man literally quarantined himself off. You see, we interviewed Beth. You know, the fact of she gave up her perfect single life to take on 5 kids that weren't even her own.
Sarah Nass is teaching people about fertility,
right? To help focus on that. And so I think we have to be careful not to go to the far extreme where we say we need to be so focused on others that we neglect our basic bodily functions. And I think some of our basic
But
bodily
what I
functions,
hear you saying is I recharge based on my power. And we don't recharge based on our power. We recharge based on God's power. And that's where Christianity in the Western world has screwed up. They're a screwed up way of thinking because we can do nothing on
people
our
want
own.
a little R&R.
We can't have righteousness. We can't do anything on our own power. It all comes from God.
But we're not talking about righteousness. We're talking about rest. And I think this is a difference that we're having. I think this is the only disagreement is we have different definitions of what rest looks like. Because rest could be a nap. Rest could be I'm going with my wife to a game. It could be mowing.
I'm looking at it from a biblical when it was established rest.
Right.
From the point from Genesis all the way through Jesus, why was it rest? It was rest to focus on God.
Right.
That's what it was for. That's why they went to the synagogue and they read from the Torah on the day of rest.
Mm-hmm.
This is what Shabbat, Sabbath, whatever you want to call it, the day of rest, that's what it's about. It's about focusing on God. It's not about getting my yard work done. It's not about watching the football game. They would walk. They were limited to a mile to walk. They were not supposed to cook food. They were supposed to prepare for the day before because it was all supposed to be intentional day of focusing on God. That is the day of rest. That is the biblical definition of the day of rest.
Right. But you can focus on God without sitting in church all day long.
I didn't say sit in church.
But I think we're agreeing on this though. Like we're actually agreeing on what it is.
So here's what happens. All right. So this is the Jewish culture. This is Judaism in the traditions of what Shabbat is. Okay. Shabbat starts on Friday night. First of all, they go by the lunar calendar, not the solar calendar.
Right. The day starts at night.
The day of rest is on the 7th day. This is Judaism. I'm not saying that this is gospel.
And it's
truth.
from sunset.
Sunset to
begins
sunset. Sunset on Friday night.
So it's not when.
So what do? They go to the synagogue. They read the Torah. They come home. They invite guests. Okay, so that one, they love God. They go and they read the Torah. They read His Word. 2, they come home where a meal has been prepared the day before. Or earlier in that day because it's technically
they're prepping for it. Yeah.
Right. So, and they invite guests over, and the guests are honored through this, right? So that's number 2. This is Shabbat. So they have Shabbat dinner. So that's what they do. Then the guests leave. This is all within a mile because it has to be within a mile. And I think that they've changed that nowadays, but this is old school Shabbat. So they do that. They rest. They wake up, they do synagogue, they do family time, there's prayers, there's blessings, there's all sorts of stuff that goes on. I have a 105-page manual of how to practice a Shabbat one day, 105 pages. It's ridiculously long and how the religious ceremony that they do. But it's all focused on God and others, always. And that's all it's focused on. It's mainly focused on God. But it does have others by having guests over, but they read from the Torah and they're doing these passages from the Old Testament, and that's Judaism. That's what Israel had done for thousands of years. This is what the day of rest is. It was a focus on God. So that's what Shabbat is. That's what the Sabbath is. That's what the day of rest is. It's a focusing not on things, on the trivial things, which is why they weren't supposed to do housework, which is why they weren't supposed to walk very far, which is why they weren't supposed to even prepare a meal, because all their focus was supposed to be on God and resting in Him. Not resting, but resting in Him. And that's what
and
it's
that
about.
Rest results in being able to love others better and do your work better. And that's what I'm thinking. Like I'm just picturing, the single, because I'm a single dad, so I think of this reality a lot. And I'm a little different because I don't have my kids every single day of the week.
Right.
I get time away from them and then time to come back. And that time away from my kids sucks. But it makes me a better dad when I have them because I'm able to recharge and regroup. And all right, let's kill it. It's going to be awesome. And so I think of the single parents in those routes. My mom was a single mom, and she was the typical single mom that worked 2 jobs and still works 2 jobs and all these different things. And I look at her, and she pours herself out so much in a good way, because she loves people big. She just always does. But I know that sometimes that she's like, all right, guys, tonight I just need a break. Just don't talk with me. I just need a little break, just to recharge, to recuperate, because I'm tired. I'm just tired. I just need rest. Whether that means sleeping for 10 hours because she literally just pulled a double, or whatever. And that's what I'm saying is resting in God. I don't want to limit it to what it, because I just picture Adam and Eve in the garden, what the world was supposed to look like. Okay. And when you read through Genesis, the first thing that God told Adam and Eve was, I've created all this for you to enjoy. Right. Just go enjoy it.
Except for one tree.
Except for one tree, which ding dong Adam and Eve decided to go to that one tree. Thanks, guys. Someone asked me, or I think they might put it on the RTC or the church or the church Facebook. I remember it was like, when you get to heaven, who's the first person you want to meet? Everyone's like grandma, grandpa. I'm like Adam and Eve because I got some questions.
Why it was predestined to happen. Oh,
I still got questions though. Because we throw hands.
It was going to happen regardless.
But so God created this perfect earth for them to enjoy, and He walked with them in the garden, and so they enjoyed the fellowship with God, but they also enjoyed the creation of God, and it's the fact of, I think, us as humans, we still get to enjoy the creation of God, and if we go to too far extremes, we'll end up like the Amish, but even they play softball, I guess. So, but I'm just thinking. But I'm just thinking, if we're saying, you know what, I'm not going to be focused on myself, I'm going to be so focused on others, and that means like, okay, so I'm never going to go to a sporting event, I'm never going to go here, I'm never going to go there, I'm just going to go to the soup kitchen every single day.
Who said anything about only focusing on others?
Well, I'm just saying people might go into that mindset.
Though, you're defending something that we have already gone too far that way.
Right.
We've already gone too far on self-focus, which is why we have this topic here, because it's obviously a big issue,
right? And
it has been a big issue, since we were kids, and it's because we as Western Christians and as Western church-going Christians are too self-focused. We've lost our first love. We've left our first love, which is God, and that's what it is. And that's why, yes, it sounds like very much extreme what I'm saying right now. But that's because that's the way it's set up, and I'm not the one that wrote the book.
And as Americans, we're very comfortable.
I'm not the one that wrote the Bible. That's God and His inspired. So you've got an issue. Take it up with Him. I'm telling you what the Word says. This is what how the Word describes Sabbath. This is how the Word describes it. First commandment: love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. What does that mean? All your heart. Okay, so you got to love Him with everything. All your soul, you got to give Him everything. All your mind, every thought is supposed to be held captive, and you're supposed to meditate using your mind on His word day and night. Right. That's a literal day and night. It's not a type and shadow type of thing. The literal translation is day and night. And then what's the fourth one? All your strength, everything you have, everything that you do should be glorifying Him. So that's the first commandment. Then the second, like unto it, is love your neighbor as yourself, because if you do this, then you can do this. Again, you do the up, then you can do the out. If you do the upright, you will have rest. God gives you the rest you need. That's what it does. But we're so afraid of that. We're so afraid of doing these and not having me time. And I'm not saying you or
no,
I'm
just going from the other side of the argument.
Yeah, no, and it's cool. But
I don't get me time, my work.
Yeah, right. But we as Christians focus so much on the me time that we have made the me time or the
I
wants. It is an idol. It is an idol. And that's totally against the fourth commandment if we want to look into it, but it's against the first great commandment of the Messiah. It is. So it's a problem in this world, and so I'm a little passionate about it because I'm so sick and tired of people going, man, I don't feel God. And man, God's just not really moving in my life. And
that's because you ain't doing nothing about it.
Yeah, because you got idols in your life, and you'd rather focus on the idols than focus on the Creator. Like you'd rather focus on this piece of wood or this rock than focus on the one who made the wood and the rock. You'd rather build a golden calf out of your jewels, out of your precious money, than you would on the God who brought you out of the land of Egypt.
Right.
I mean, that's the problem with the church in America these days. They'd rather go to the Sunday service and hear a pastor preach to them and be takers of the word and not hearers of the word, and then check the box like you just did and go about their week and live the way they want and tell their kids that they can be anything that they want to be And all you got to do is put your mind to it. Just put your little mind to it, and you can be whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than focusing on the things they should be focusing on.
Right.
So that's where I stand.
I like that, and I agree with all of that. I really do.
I know. I think we're splitting that hairs over here.
I mean, because the only thing that I also focus on, and maybe this comes out of my student ministry world and like just studying the teenage brain so much, is, you know, God's given us bodies and we're called to take care of our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're called to actually, I mean, we even read where it's like gluttony is a sin because you're overindulging and
Mm-hmm.
you know, we talk about destroying the outward temple, and like the body is the gift.
But we have to be careful with that.
Right. We don't want to go too far in either direction.
Well, no, you're mentioning gluttony, which was a sin.
Right.
You're 100% correct. But we also have to look at when that was written. Well, that was in the Mosaic law, correct?
Right.
So are we splitting that hairs of where the law comes into effect, or are we all under righteousness of Christ? Are we all under the grace? So again, we can pick and choose what laws. That's another problem with Christians today, is that we pick and choose which laws out of the Old Testament. We were like, well, you got this law and this law.
Gluttony is, I think gluttony is a focus of self. Because gluttony is, I want to consume.
It is. It is a focus. You're right.
Consume.
I'm just saying.
And I agree. But what I'm saying is the fact of, you know, we have our bodies and God has created our bodies.
Right.
And he's created them to tick certain ways. And, you know, I mean, we can talk about the studies and all these different things in terms of our bodies need ample amount of sleep to function. If we fill the gas tank up with junk, we're going to feel like junk rather than filling it up with good things.
If we self-focus, yeah.
Well, I'm saying
food-wise.
Food, right. That's what I mean. So if we fill it with junk food, it's going to feel like junk. And so, you know, we can serve God with our bodies better if we actually discipline ourselves in certain ways, because we'll have, I mean, I know it sounds weird, but what I'm saying is, I'm not saying just focus on yourself, because I would think that bodybuilding could become a idol too. Anything in extreme. But more so what I'm trying to say is the fact of God created our bodies and our minds and to work a certain way. I mean, that's just how it is. So what I'm saying is, I'm not saying be so self-focused that you sleep 12 hours a day and you do this and you do this and you're only so focused on yourself that you don't care about others at all. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is, you know, we do need to take care of what God has given us in the way that our bodies were just created to be.
And what does that look like then, Mark?
What do you mean?
What does that look like? Because you're flirting with something dangerous, and that's what I keep speaking to.
But see,
I'm speaking to the
think
dangerous
I am.
side. I think I'm speaking to this dangerous side of self-focus.
Right.
And maybe we're defining things a little bit wrong. Maybe you're just talking about rest and eating, because that's okay.
Rest, eat, exercise, so that way that you take care of your body that you've been given. 'Cause you're a steward of it.
And so you're talking on the aspect of function.
Yep.
That's not self-focused. That's just function.
Right. That's taking care of yourself, so that way you can function as a human being.
It's just function, though. It's not
But
self-focused. It's just function.
I'm hearing it from the side of screw your function, focus only on God.
No, yeah.
That's
and so
what I'm
you're
hearing.
missing me and I'm missing you, because
Right.
you're talking function and I'm not talking. I'm talking self-focus.
So let's bring it back, big guy. Let's bring it back. So
self-focus.
So we're talking with me. My side is the fact of you got to make sure you can actually function as a human being, and your side is the fact of, well, yeah, past your function. This is how we live in reality.
Past function.
So I think we do agree on so many different things.
Yeah.
So many. It's the fact of when it's all about love yourself and focus on you. We both flat out say
Reject
that's a
it.
load of crap.
Yeah, we got to reject it.
Right. But I think it's more the fact of, I think when we hear different sides, our brain instant, and I think we just had the fight that everybody has in their own mind. If
Right.
we want to, it's either this or this,
Well,
rather than
It's a definition mishap.
Right.
So if it's in your own mind, you probably have your own definition. It
Probably.
doesn't-
Probably.
But amongst Christians, this is probably a good discussion that is had.
Right.
Because self-focus is different from function.
Right.
Self-focus, when I speak of self-focus,
I think rather than, I don't like the word, it's more like me focused. Me.
Yeah, we just like different
We
terminology.
like different terms on it, because you do have to focus on yourself to function, but focus so much that it's that the world revolves around you.
So let's define function. Function is eat, sleep, exercise.
I would say not just sleep. I would put rest, sleep.
Rest. I'll just call it rest.
I like rest.
Rest, eat, exercise. Anything else that you'd want to define it with?
Companion, not person, but like we're called to be, like it's not good for man to be alone.
Yeah,
we're called to have friendship and relationships too.
And I put that under the second commandment.
Okay, I got you. Because if you're loving you, you're loving me.
Right, exactly. Yeah. That's why I'm putting that under the second
that's
commandment.
Your function. But if you're so focused on all the other things.
Yeah, so that 3, I agree with you. That is a functional thing. And then what you called it me-focused?
Right.
You called
because
it me-focused.
it's when the world revolves around you and you're the top pinnacle and everything else is down here.
Right. And
we both agree
that's
with
that. And that's what I've been speaking to is the me focus. I'm going to use your definition so we're on the same page here. But the me focused is I want to overeat. I want this. I want that. It's what the Berenstain Bears call in their book the bad case of the gimmies.
Oh, bro,
I
heard that
case of the gimmies, and that's what it is. It's all about, and it's another song from the '90s. It's all about me.
Wow, I haven't heard that book in a long time.
So it's all about me. It's all about what I want, and it's working out. I want to look big. I want to look swole, or I don't know what the kids use these days, but I want to look swole. Or I want to be super fit. Or hey, I want to eat a whole chocolate cake by myself. Or it's I need. And that's where I've been speaking to. No, you need to focus on. You quit focusing on the world. Quit focusing on the stuff. I need a new pair of shoes. I need the biggest screen TV. I need to go to the Notre Dame game. I need to go to the Detroit Tiger game. Those are things that we can enjoy.
We get to enjoy.
We can enjoy those things.
But when you put that thing on the altar and as the idol and you push everything else away,
right. What's your priorities?
Relationships and you hurt your relationship.
What's your priorities? That's my thing.
I like that.
Set your priorities. God is your priority. Loving others is your next priority. And then everything else hopefully falls under those two. But, sometimes we indulge ourselves too.
Woo! So, man, that was a stressful conversation until we landed the plane.
Well, it was because we were using
we were just going...
we took a definition and we went 2 different ways with the same definition.
Thanks, Janeal.
Well, she said...
Thanks, Janeal.
She said to draw it out, and now we've almost drawn it out for an hour.
But So
wait, let's make sure
we answer the question. But I should say this.
Culture, the phrases.
This is what I appreciate about my friendship with you, buddy. I want to make sure everybody on the podcast knows is we discuss and we talk and we reason.
Right.
We come together, we reason. It's like, we're brothers and we're on the same page.
You guys get to come along for the ride of just us.
This is okay. So, but let's be honest though. This is what we do. And this is how we started the podcast. This is the real talk. Let's talk about this.
Right. And this is the conversations that everybody should be having with that companion that they walk life with. I had Paul and I go through this. We went through it was like a week and a half long disagreement on the Septuagint. And I know most people don't know what that is. It's a text we use.
We talk about it in the Bible translation episode a little bit.
So all Bibles are derived from the Masoretic or Septuagint and the Septuagint kind of combined. So those are the texts of Hebrew or Greek that we get the Bible from. And so we had like a week and a half long drag out discussion argument like we did tonight on the differential text. But it's a good thing. This is iron sharpening iron. And I hope people are like, holy cow, that's intense.
There have been actual people that thought we are ticked off at each other.
Not at all. It's all done out of love and finding truth.
And
sometimes it's...
I think the kicker's finding truth.
It's finding truth together.
Digging for them truth nuggies.
Iron sharpening iron. I come from one opinion, you come from another, except for we came from the same opinion tonight, just on different sides of that.
And then we just kind of went, shoop, and back to the
All
thing.
right, let's make sure we answer this question.
Yep.
In today's culture, the phrase "believe in yourself," "dream big," "love yourself," etc., are used often, especially with kids. Are these phrases teaching our children bad ways of thinking? Yes, they are teaching bad ways of thinking. They're teaching self-focus, or you can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter.
So what would you, I guess, and this is the thing that I try to tell the teens is the fact of, when you're trying to figure out what to do with your life, how has God wired you? How can God use you? Go do that.
We have gifts.
Yeah,
God gives us
different
gifts.
Or different parts of the body.
Do you know what your gifts are? If not, maybe ask your mom or dad.
If you're a kid, closer to you, spiritual gifts.
If you're an adult, ask a friend. Ask if your parents still alive, ask your parent what they see. What do your friends see? What does your pastor see? What does that tribe of yours see? Ask them what they see in your gifts,
so that you can do all to the glory of God.
Right. All right. So yes, it's teaching our children bad ways of thinking, Janeal. It definitely is. And if so, which it is, how do we keep ourselves and our kids from buying into the self-love delusion? Follow Jesus.
It starts at the top. It starts at the top.
Prioritize.
If if the person at the it's like the CEOs of companies. If they're telling their little people to do stuff, but they're not even doing it, it's going to all fall apart.
Right.
So if you want your kids to love others and love big and follow Jesus and do all these different things,
obey your boss.
How the heck do you expect them to do it if you're not doing it?
Right. Obey your
That's
boss,
what I
and
want. That's it.
obey your boss, and your boss will tell you and teach you how to teach your underlings.
Time for Fun Facts with Fuller.
Always a good laugh to hear after
We wait for it.
A strong debate.
I feel like that was our best transition into Fun Facts with Fuller.
Probably. All right, today's fun fact.
That was a good. Woo! That was a good conversation, bro.
Is your headache gone?
Yeah, I feel hyper and good.
That's because your blood got pumping. I know it. I saw it.
But we hit the 15-minute mark. I'm like, we're done. No, we're not.
No. Well, we dug in. We rabbit trailed, and that rabbit trail was a conversation.
I love you, bro. That was good.
Love you too, buddy.
That was good.
All right.
Good. What's the fun fact for tonight,
fun fact
bro?
of today, which Mark, you already know because you already read it, and then you told me you knew it. So this will be for the listeners. Fun fact of the day: did you know, listeners, Play-Doh?
I didn't read this. Oh yeah, I did read this
Yes,
one.
you did.
Oops, that was earlier. My bad.
Play-Doh wasn't always a children's plaything. In fact, it was first developed as wallpaper cleaner. It wasn't until the manufacturer realized that the non-toxic nature of the product would make a great children's toy that the whole aim of the product changed. So, hey, this was for wallpaper. Hey, it won't kill them. Let them play with it.
Oh, is that where that nasty Play-Doh smell comes from?
Probably.
Because that crap smells awful.
I kind of like it.
I mean, okay.
And my daughter likes to eat it.
Yeah,
So-
it's because it's salty. That's why Elliot did it. He would actually say it's salty, and he would lick him like you're gross.
Yeah, well, Noelle actually like full on takes
Just
bites
eats
out
it.
of them.
Like I actually know parents who won't buy it because of the smell. I know some parents like that, but I mean, it's not a good smell. I don't like my hand smelling like it, but when you just smell it, man, that smell just hits different.
I don't know.
That smell
I don't
hits
mind the
different,
smell.
man. But it's those are memories smells.
They take you back.
Take it back.
Take me back. Do 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 do. Oh, it's take you back. Anyways,
I don't have a song. I actually was thinking, like, I don't have a song for that one.
What?
I got you. I want you back. I got like that one, but I don't.
Baby, come back.
Oh, there is that one. Oh goodness, that was
geez.
thanks, Janeal. That was a good conversation, my dude. That was good.
That was real good. We should do that more often.
Maybe if you guys send in ooh,
Mail in.
Well, I don't want to just be
sealed-
dropping my address to people. We don't have a PO box or nothing. Maybe we could just have people send stuff to the church and then
There we go.
There we go. Send it to Southside Baptist Church in South Bend, Indiana.
Send it to Brandon Soche's house at no. Sorry.
PO Box 2494, South Bend, Indiana 46680. That's the church's mailing address, so they can send stuff there, I guess. But
There you
either
go.
way, if the people want to reach us, my dude, how can they reach us?
They can just go to our website at realtalkchristianpodcast.com and all the information is there.
All of it?
Yeah.
What about Instagram?
Is an Instagram on it?
Yeah. What about texting?
Oh, yeah. There's
What about the merch store?
Oh, the merch. The
That's
merch
there
is
too,
great.
right?
But the phone number is there, and it's 574-400-5352. Real Talk Christian Podcast at Instagram, at Facebook, at gmail.com.
Leave us an Apple review. Do all the things. We want to hear from you guys. You are people. You are fam. And we just want to make sure you're out there listening and that you haven't forgotten us. That's all we wanna do.
And that you didn't, get weirded out by our conversation tonight and just turn us off completely.
I love it, man. Dude, you guys are amazing out there in RTC land. We love having you guys every single week. But until next time.
Take it easy.